Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from Mainnet 2023 in New York City. Joining me for this segment, we have Dave Lemke, Chief Financial Officer and Chief Compliance Officer of Giddy, to discuss the current regulatory affairs in decentralized finance. Dave, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me, Jill.
Tell us about the Utah DAO Act legislation and what was your role in it?
So I'm on the Blockchain and Digital Innovation Task Force. The governor created a team that the goal was to make us become the Delaware of DAOs and DeFi. So all things digital, we want to bring Utah to the forefront and make it the place where any DAO can come to create an entity.
What's the current state of DeFi regulation in the US right now?
So in the US, I try to be as positive as possible, but really on the scale of trash fire to nuclear meltdown, we're kind of radioactive. We had a team in Singapore on the ground, and it's funny, outside the US, people talk about the US so much and what the SEC is going to do because there's such a big value to unlock here. But unfortunately, lawmakers just have not acted yet and passed meaningful legislation. Like I said, I'm an optimist, and I'm hopeful that we'll get stablecoin bills passed this year, which would really unlock the banking system to start interacting with crypto, and then we can start onboarding more users to the blockchain through more traditional methods. But we'll see what happens. We can't keep our government even funded practically, so We'll see if they can agree on.
Well, it's interesting because at Mainnet this year and other conferences that we've covered around the DeFi space, it's not necessarily about product. Everything is about regulation and the concern that we are falling behind and that innovation is going elsewhere. I believe there was a stat I read before, I believe it's like 68% of people in the blockchain space are ex-US now.
Yeah, well, on that point, the Treasury released a couple regulations just 2-3 Fridays ago that are basically going to make non-custodial wallet providers like Giddy have to KYC every single user, which we traditionally haven't done. We do at certain points when they interact with fiat rails, of course, and we want to keep out bad actors, so we do certain monitoring services. But full KYC is a deal breaker for a lot of users, especially if you're from Argentina or Turkey or just anywhere else outside the US. It might feel weird, like, why are they asking me this information? And so even at Giddy, we're starting to think under these new regs, gosh, we don't want to build a firewall around our business, so we might have to have a Giddy.us and then a Giddy Dubai or Giddy Singapore, just to accommodate the two worlds of US and non-US.
Well, I understand it goes away from the ethos of decentralized finance. If you have to go with KYC, I guess the government's argument is we want to protect investors. So I guess you have to find a way to balance that out, and you have ambitious plans at Giddy to bring DeFi mainstream. Tell us about that.
Yes, so we want to be the flag bearer in terms of being compliant and future-proof in terms of regulation. And we want to help the government in closing the tax gap and keeping the bad guys out. We don't want North Korea to fund their nuclear program. And so we've taken an approach of let's do DeFi for grandmas. My own mom is in our app and she is staked into a liquidity pool. Our app has made it so that instead of having to swap tokens and having native gas, create liquidity pairs and stake them, and hope that you don't have what happened to Mark Cuban where you click the wrong link and then suddenly your wallet gets drained. We've become sort of an app store for DeFi protocols where you can just open up the app, you click, and you know that it's going to be a direct integration to the legitimate DEX, and with one swipe you're in and you're staked.
So besides your mom being on the app, what are some of the other milestones that you've accomplished?
So we did beta testing last year and we went fully live in January, and since then we've got a little over 55,000 wallets created, and these are active users who are in the network and giving us nice reviews on our app. And really now we're starting to go across, we launched on Polygon, and now we're on ETH mainnet, and we're going to continue to jump chain to chain and work with other providers as well to add more and more services to our wallet.
It's interesting you bring that up because one of the keys within the blockchain space is interoperability, and it sounds as if the industry is starting to get there for these ecosystems to play well together.
Absolutely, and people ask, like, well, who are your competitors? And we could say, well, I guess Ledger is a competitor, but really we're actually talking with them in ways to work together and say maybe your ledger can be a factor in your Giddy wallet. And so it ends up being the best of both worlds, and we can team up and make everyone more secure.
All right, Dave, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on
Thank you,
Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.